Less than 1%. Less than 1% of independent feature films ever make it into a major subscription streaming platform. Not because they were bad films, not because the filmmakers were not talented, because the filmmakers did not know the rules of the games that they were playing. I am Sal Framondi, co-founder of Post Hollywood, and in this episode, the first in a 7-part series called Get on Netflix, I'm going to tell you exactly what those rules are. Not the inspirational version, not the YouTube version where someone tells you to believe in your vision or keep pushing. The real version, the version that nobody in the film industry ever sits down and tells you, because most of them either do not know it or they don't want to know it. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand something that most filmmakers who spend years chasing Netflix never figured out. And once you know it, you cannot unknow it. And here's what this episode is going to give to you. We're going to talk about the dream, the one every independent filmmaker has, the editing suite at night, the film coming together, and the thought that creeps in. What if Netflix picks this up? And then we're going to talk about the reality, what Netflix actually is as a business, what it takes to get on it, and why most filmmakers are approaching it from the completely wrong direction. Then we're going to talk about what actually separates the films that make it from the films that do not. And I promise you it's not what you think. But before you get into any of that, I need you to hear a number. 325 million. That's how many paid subscribers Netflix has right now across 190 countries. Every device, every language, every corner of the world, open 24 hours a day. If your film lands on Netflix, even from one night, it can reach more people than a decade of film festivals. That's not an exaggeration, that's just math. So the dream is not naive. The dream makes complete sense. The problem is that the dream is not a strategy. Most independent filmmakers have a version of this story. They spend 2 years making a film, sometimes 3. They put in everything, their savings, their relationships, their sleep. They believe that if the film is good enough, the world will find it. And when it does not happen, when the festivals do not pan out, when the distribution calls never come, when the film sits on a hard drive going nowhere, they blame themselves. But here's what nobody told them. Their film already was in trouble before they shot a single frame. Not because of their talent, not because of their story, because of their position. Because of what they did not know about how the distribution game actually works. Netflix is not an arts foundation. It's not in the business of rewarding passion or celebrating artistic courage. Netflix is a publicly traded technology company with $15 billion in annual content spending and a board of directors that answers to shareholders. Every single acquisition decision they make is filtered through one primary question. Will this content retain our existing subscribers and attract new ones? Everything else, the artistry, the performances, the cinematography, the social relevance, is secondary to that question. This doesn't mean that Netflix doesn't want great films. It means that greatness alone is not enough. A great film with no audience awareness, no comparable titles, no track record behind it, and no data suggesting it will perform is a risk that Netflix does not need to take. They have enough options. So what does Netflix actually want? 2 things: data and certainty. They want to look at your film and see a clear, predictable reason to believe it will perform. They want comparable titles that they can point to, audience proof, a track record of delivery, a festival pedigree, anything that tells their acquisition team this is a safe bet. Passion is what you go through making the film. Data is what gets the film onto the platform. So, what actually separates the films that make it onto Netflix from the films that do not? I've spent years studying this, talking to producers who have been in those rooms, reading every real account I could find from filmmakers who actually sign Netflix deals. And the answer is almost never what filmmakers expect. It's not the quality of the cinematography. It's not the strength of the screenplay. It's not the size of the cast. What separates them comes down to three things. First, positioning. How the film was packaged, marketed, and presented to the industry before it was ever finished. Not after, before. Second, relationships. Whether the filmmaker had or found someone with credibility and a track record who could open up the right doors. Nobody gets onto Netflix alone. Nobody. The third, preparation. Whether the filmmaker understood the technical, legal, and financial requirements of delivery before they walked into a meeting or signed the first contract. Most indie filmmakers arrived at the distribution stage of their journey with none of these three things in place. Not because they were not smart, not because they didn't work hard, because nobody ever told them. Let me give you a real example. A producer named Jeff Deverett has 3 films on Netflix, 3. And what he said about how he got there should be required reading for any and every independent filmmaker alive. He said the first time Netflix took his film, they loved it, they wanted it. They still told him to go through a distributor. Even after he had already done the sale himself, even after he had done everything right, they handed him a list of 6 or 7 approved distributors. They told him to go negotiate with one of them. He did. He paid a commission for the work that he had already done. The second film, same thing. Third film, he finally got to deliver directly. That process took years. This is not a horror story. This is just how it works. And the filmmakers who understand that, who build their strategy around how it actually works instead of how they wish it worked, are the ones who eventually get there. Here's the thing I want you to understand about this series. Getting into Netflix is not a dream, it's a target. It's a target that can be aimed at. Over the next 7 episodes, we're going to walk through exactly what that target looks like and exactly how to hit it. Episode 2, we're going to talk about the 3 doors that actually exist into Netflix. Because there is not only one way in, there are 3. And only one of them is realistically open to most independent filmmakers right now. You need to know which one. Episode 3, the gatekeepers, distributors, aggregators, who they are, what they charge, what they actually do, the real financial picture of what a Netflix deal looks like when all the middlemen have taken their cut. I'm going to give you a real number from a real deal, and it will surprise you. Episode 4, what Netflix actually wants. The genres that they're looking for right now, the track record problem, the festival strategy, and the 2-minute pitch structure that actually gets a yes. Episode 5, this is the one most filmmakers never see coming. The technical requirements. And when I say technical, I do not mean complicated. I mean expensive. I mean specific. I mean the kind of requirements that can take a finished film and make it undeliverable if you do not plan for them from the start. Episode 6, the contract. What Netflix licensing deals actually look like. What the money actually is. What you need to watch out for before you sign. And the one thing every filmmaker gets wrong about what a Netflix deal is actually worth. And episode 7, the real path forward. Because Netflix is not just a first destination. It is the destination you build towards. And the filmmakers who understand that, who build their career strategies from the beginning, are the ones who eventually get there. 7 episodes, one complete picture of how this actually works. Now here's something I want to be honest with you about. Everything I'm describing in this series, the technical requirements, the distribution relationships, the aggregator submissions, the festival strategies, the contract negotiations, has historically required either significant industry connections, significant financial resources, or years spent learning the business the hard way. Most independent filmmakers do not have any of these things. And that gap between what the system requires and what most filmmakers have access to is the reason less than 1% of the indie films ever reach a major streaming platform. That is the exact gap that post-Hollywood was built to close. We built a 3-platform ecosystem: Filmmaker Genius for production, Got Auditions for casting, and Hook Cinema for distribution. And at the center of it all is something called the green light engine. Here's what it does. A filmmaker uploads 10 minutes of their film. The engine analyzes it, the genre, the tone, the production quality, the comparable titles in the current market, and identifies exactly where that film can go in the world: theaters, Netflix, independent VODs, or direct to audience. Then it gets to work. It generates the pitch materials, it fills out the forms, and it automatically submits your film to the right distributor and aggregators on your behalf. For the first time in history, you don't need a studio to greenlight your film. We are building this in public, and we want you to watch us do it. Let me leave you with this. The filmmakers who are on Netflix right now did not get there because the universe rewarded their passion. They got there because they understood the business. They built the right relationships. They made strategic decisions about festivals and audience building. They partnered with people who had the credibility and track records. They approached Netflix not as a dream, but as a target with a specific plan for reaching it. That knowledge is available to you, all of it. That's what this series is. The difference between the filmmaker who makes it and the filmmaker who does not. And it's almost never about talent. It's about knowledge, strategy, and the willingness to treat filmmaking as both an art and a business. You now have the beginning of that knowledge. We're going to talk about the 3 doors into Netflix and exactly which one is open to you right now. Follow me on LinkedIn, Sal Framondi, so you don't miss it. The link is in the description, pinned at the top. And if you want to go deeper right now, the complete written guide that this entire series is based on is available as a free ebook. Email me at sal@filmmakergenius.com and request this free ebook, and I will send it to you. Free. Every chapter, every number, every contract term, all of it. I'm Sal Framondi. This is Post Hollywood. The studios aren't coming back. The gates are open, and now you know how to walk through them.